Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. My name is Ryan Clifford and join me on this lowballing board now lead Brendan to pick up the pieces is Alan Stirling and my good man Daniel. Well as obviously last night we were on, myself and JP and Daniel, we spoke about briefly about the statement. Obviously we have just been on this week yesterday, so we're going to go through the statement in more detail today, and obviously other things with UEFA, all that nonsense in the statement, which we will go through. But obviously, Alan, it's first time on this week, mate. How are you? And obviously, what's your take on the last few days at, don't want to say turbulent Celtic, but a few mental days at the club, mate?
I'd say turbulent, probably one of the biggest movements I've seen in my lifetime. I think obviously a lot of people kind of look back to the 90s. Afternoon everybody, actually. Hope everybody's well. But after that grenade that was thrown in on Saturday, I think everybody's a bit in awe at how much the Celtic hierarchy obviously think the fans are absolute idiots. So, it's been a great weekend to be treated like that and just been so condescending. And the whole statement was just absolutely disingenuous. Everything about it just reeked. I think there's going to be a massive backlash, and for me and for us, we'll get into it later, but for us as a podcast, I know Ryan's going to represent us tonight for the meeting with the association and the fan media, but we need to all get behind this movement to make change for the good, because we've been going along with us kind of too much. Francis, come on, you settle down. Aye, let me talk. Right. No, I hope everybody's well, but it's definitely a complete and utter mess that we find ourselves in at present. And we need to kind of get together as a fan base and kind of get right behind this movement, because this is going to be the long haul. This is going to be spoken about for long periods and for a long time until there's necessary changes that need to be made.
Yeah, I totally get it with Francis. I know it's a wee bit of tongue in cheek with Francis, but he is right. There's a good game to look forward to Sunday, which is a game again, we keep talking about reactions. We do the reaction on Sunday because everything that's happened, the players will need to put a performance. But like I says, it has left Brendan to pick up the pieces, Daniel. But obviously, the statement as the club put out, mate, it's no great. As Francis says, we do have a game on Sunday, which obviously we're back on tomorrow. That will be the main focus tomorrow. We will touch on a bit at the end as well. Don't worry about that. This is obviously a football podcast, but it is important, Daniel, to highlight obviously what's been happening at the club, and a lot of the fan base are chatting about it. I don't think it's going to go away. Like Alan says, this is probably the biggest movement I've seen as a Celtic fan. Obviously, I'm 1993, I was born in, so I roughly remember 90s, but I was a tiny nipper, so I didn't really know much about the Kellys and stuff like that. And when it happened back then, all the movements for Celtics for change and stuff, but now I know more about it now, and I don't think, Daniel, this is going to go away. Ideally, you want it to go away in terms of you want the football to start back and winning games and talk about, I know it's no what we want to be in, but we're now in the Europa League. We want to talk about that, but European games, away games. But this is going to be something, mate, I think that's going to be talked about for quite a long time, mate.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel a lot of the support are now united in the fact that the board think we're idiots. They've treated us like idiots, and that's the biggest takeaway for the weekend. So
I got a shower.
that's the biggest takeaway for the weekend, that they think they can throw us any old excuse and we'll not look into it, which for me is astonishing. But we do have a game on Sunday, and I do hope that we go out and get that performance. But like Alan says, this isn't going to go away. So this is the biggest thing we've seen since maybe the COVID season, where everybody's starting to become of the opinion now that this is it for them, and something needs changed.
No, I think you're right, Daniel. Obviously, Alan, we will touch on the statement. Obviously, we've not done it as a podcast yet, so sorry. I feel that we have to do it. One of the first lines, Alan, that took my attention was when it was after the first few phrases, the paragraphs. It was the transfer activity attracts enormous attention and speculation, particularly across social media and the mainstream media. Has commodised the transfer window and its relentless search for content in connection with Celtic. We recognise that the debate around this subject reflects the passion of our supporters. Unfortunately, as it always is the case, as it is often the case in the media and social media, there is inaccuracy and misleading information in circulation. So, basically, Alan, I'm trying to say that the media are basically putting out transfers that weren't the case. Transfers that were rumoured in the media that weren't true, that the media's made all this narrative that we're lowballing this and we're doing that. Basically putting it on the media that it's your fault that we're no signed players and the rumours weren't true. And we all understand that, Aaron, that the media can make rumours, they can make stories, but when it comes to financial fees, when you've got guys like Stephen McGowan, Mark Goody's come out today and said things as well, other people who are well known in media, Mark Kennedy as well, we've seen him recently been kind of getting some exclusives. These guys aren't putting things out to their name to it for no reason. So, and like I said last night, and I've said it previously in group chats and on here before, if these journalists or pundits or media outlets said things that weren't true, Celtic would obviously put something out or say something to them, get them back to Celtic Park, they would do it done for damages, whatever else, etc., etc. That's not happened yet. And it won't happen because, by the sounds of it, it's all true, Alan. So for me, that is to basically say that we're creating rumours for the fans to get excited for no reason and believe that they're trying to do things that they're not. I think it's pretty nonsense, Alan.
Verbal diarrhea. That's basically what it was. The whole thing. I don't know in what world that is normal. I've got thoughts on it. Right? I think that maybe Michael and Peter were out Saturday playing a bit of golf or a bit of badminton. They've went back to the clubhouse. They've had a few brandies and they've went, Peter, I've got an idea. One, it's 8:41 on a Saturday night. Had a few brandies. Let's put this out. It'll be some laugh. Right? We'll just do this. We'll put it right out there. All the nonsense and they can go nuts at us. It'll be some laugh. We'll just blame everybody else apart from us and let's see the reaction we get. Because nobody in the right mind. Who you're talking about a club that had that Simpson Poosie training and the boy for Boca training before they were even announced, right?
Yeah.
But randomly on a Saturday night at 8:41, they go, "Oh, we're going to put out one of the biggest statements we ever had in our whole existence." How random and what parallel universe is any of that right? It's just the whole thing absolutely stinks. When you change, and for me that change isn't going to happen when the likes a kind of Lowell Nicholson, whoever's behind the scenes, because we've seen year after year after year that it's no the way that we should be run. It's a business, aye, fantastic, it's a business, but I'm sorry to say, I'm not supporting Celtic as a business. I'm supporting Celtic as a football club. I don't want, if it was a business, you wouldn't want the likes of kind of Richard Branson or Alan Sugar playing up front for you, would you? So we're looking to see what's actually on the park. And I know it was touched upon last night, but I've been saying continuously for months and months about how Don Mackay was treated. I think that was just a massive eye opener for everybody. I think when he came in, we seen somebody, a young, hungry, kind of progressive businessman that wanted to keep in touch with wanted to move forward thinking, wanted to speak to the fans, wanted to keep communication avenues open. He was swiftly shown the door because obviously he was far too forward thinking for the current regime. I think they probably went, oh no, this guy's right out the door. Who can we get? Who's that guy making the coffee on there that looks like a ginger Monty Burns out of The Simpsons? Come here, Michael. You want this job, mate? It was just, honestly, I think he was probably one of the best things that could have happened to the club, and Don Mackay. And he was just shifted right out the door. So I've no idea what we're going to do from this point forward. I just know that as a support base, we need to make a stand. We can't continue to see how much potential that this club's got, how well set up we are with regards to the finance, regards to the team that we did have, the infrastructure. So much potential. But it's lacking any vision or ambition for us going forward. And I think that just this statement, or this nonsense of a statement, just validates everything that we've been saying. This board are simply not fit for purpose. They need to be removed, and it has to happen as soon as possible. So for me, I'm well behind this movement. They need to be shown the door, and there's no room for we can change certain things that happen, etc. It's went too far for that, in my opinion. We need fresh faces. We need people to come in the door. These guys have had far long enough to show what they're capable of, and they're not moving us as a football team in the right direction for me.
And yourself, Daniel, what's your thoughts on obviously the social media bit about the statement?
It just, like Alan says, it was just very random timing. It's very sloppy. I think a lot of fans are in agreement that it genuinely seems AI generated. They completely miss any of the questions that have been asked by the movement that is now gathering up even more pace. It was just his fault, no us. Which, if you are running any other business in the world and something like that goes wrong financially, with like talk about missing out in the Champions League and missing out on that £40 million, if you are responsible for that in any other thing with a business, you need to take responsibility for that. You can't just go, but it was him. Doesn't wash like that. If I make a mistake in my job, if any of you make a mistake in your jobs, you are held accountable for it, and you have to either make up for it, or depending on the severity, you lose your job. So why should this be any different?
No, also, well, just sorry to butt in there, but see with that statement as well, they must have read through that and went, right, we'll say this, that, the next time. Right, Peter, don't forget, get in the part that you're talking about Rangers dying. Get that part in. You need to make sure that's in it. It's just like, honestly, it's like, how stupid do these people think we are? They're treating us like absolute idiots. It was so condescending. It was so out of touch. And just to add things like that, and it doesn't make that doesn't agree like the other end of the city, or you get stodge points or anything. That doesn't wash or fly with me. That kind of nonsense. So for me, that statement is just, if I'd been on this podcast on Saturday, it would have been shut down because for me, I was furious beyond belief. I like most Celtic fans, your blood would be boiling. Actually, reading that, thinking that's going to fly. actually reading that thinking that the guys that are putting this out thinks that we're accepting this carry on. That we're going to just say, all right, that's a perfect explanation you've given there. Nonsense. So it needs to be acted upon. It simple as that. The whole thing was just an absolute joke and a charade.
I totally agree with you, Alan. On that, I'm trying to actually find that bit about the statement. But they mentioned obviously if I read at Rangers, Daniel, basically saying that they're not going to throw contracts out and spend money willy-nilly just to basically spend money. What was your take on that bit of the statement, mate?
Like Alan says, it's just ridiculous. It's like playground stuff. Just like, but we'll throw that in and try and get them. Oh, I had a dig at Rangers. It's all right. Nah. We've spoke about as a fan base that domestically we don't compare ourselves to anybody else anymore. We're looking out with and looking to grow as a European side. So comparing us to we know how far ahead of the rest of Scotland we are business wise. So to compare us to failing systems, just for me, it doesn't make any sense. That's the overwhelming feeling I had reading that statement at first read. It didn't make any sense to me, and it actually took me a couple of reads to figure out what actually they were trying to say, because it was just so all over the place, and it's genuinely just like, I will throw that in and see what they're saying, see how it might be all right if we put a wee dig in. Doesn't wash like that.
It doesn't, mate, and obviously one of the big things that's been talked about in the statement was further the club's model is now not optional, which for me I think is wrong, because a model can't be set in stone. A model should be acclimatised, it should be modernised, it should be adapting to what the times move on, football moves on, money moves on, everything moves on, so you can't keep one thing and don't think you can adapt it. It's like Rodgers playing on a Saturday or European games, whether we're playing, you can't just stick to one formation, think it's going to work. You need to adapt, you need to change formations. So you need to do that as a board, you need to do that as a business as well. Now it's now essential as a consequence of the UEFA sustainability regulations, which the club must comply with. Wages and transfer spending are strictly governed by UEFA's regulations, which effectively cap wages and transfer spending as a proportion of our revenue. Importantly, the club's cash reserves are not relevant to assessment of this de facto spending cap for the purposes of UEFA regulations. And obviously, Alan, as a lot of people might have seen, there was a big kind of wee quotation paragraphs on social media from the Swiss Rambler. I'll just put this up right now and I'll get the right part. So that was on social media, so I've not took it from, this is on social media from a Swiss Rambler. It's on my Twitter, it's on people's Twitter, you'll see it on Twitter if you can all see it. Basically the statement saying that this person is very familiar with the statement. Somebody contacted them through a Celtic fan, basically says that the statement was nonsense, but it was correct, but what they said in it wasn't true. It is true that the cash does not play a part in UEFA's FFP assessment, but so what? The fact that Celtic are well within both elements of UEFA regulations. It then says that the last time Celtic, it was basically the accounts and reviews in 23-24 by them. There's a house profit, which is a combined of a reported profit plus deductions of a healthy expenditure, i.e. infrastructure, academy, community and women's football. So they were absolutely fine for financial sustainability calculation. They're also comfortable, okay, to the new squad cost and control rota, which compares squad control players, agent fees, total revenue, including profit from player sales, based on the 23-24 season. I have estimated Celtic's ratio is 43%, and the target of UEFA is 70%. So pretty well off that target. Of course, things can change. In the 25-24 accounts, Celtic accounts will be boosted by the European money from the Champions League, Furiashi and O'Reilly sales and other targets. Coming back to the cash, here's some stats for you. Celtic in 2024 June had 77 million lying in the bank, which is around 5 times as much as the rest of Scottish football and the Premiership. Only one club in the mighty Premier League, I mean in that's English League, I'm guessing, had more cash holding by than Celtic. It's one thing saving money for a rainy day, but it looks like Celtic are saving for a monsoon. The price of excessive caution was clearly seen by the Champions League elimination. Spending money is obviously not a guarantee of success, but it sure help. Your response to that, Alan?
Yeah, I think we all know that Celtic, in terms of kind of transfer dealings, selling and bringing in players, I don't think we've been in a net deficit in transfers since the likes of kind of Martin O'Neill, I think. I think most years that we've been selling kind of a big player like Matt O'Reilly last year. We spent quite a bit last year, but we actually didn't spend any money because of the money brought in for the likes of kind of Matt O'Reilly and another few bodies, etc. So you can't pull the wool over kind of people's eyes. We know it's well publicised some of the kind of transfer fees that are brought in and the transfer fees that we're putting out. They don't match up, so it's impossible for us to infringe financial fair play guidelines because we would need to be outspending more than what we're bringing in, and that's simply not the case, and it hasn't been the case for a number of years. So it's there right in front of everybody's eyes. That's how I'm saying that that statement is just basically treating fans as if they're idiotic and stupid, because we can all see that we're sold kind of.
On that, Alan, basically you mentioned there as well, but the packages for Europa League 140. Shut up and give your money. That's what they're basically saying. That's what they should come out and say. Toby says, just say it. You're right, Toby. The UEFA financial fair play, Celtic will never hit that levels to trigger. I think Toby's spot on there, mate.
No, we won't, and that's just another kick in the Niagara Falls, in it. The money that they're asking. But you look at the likes of we're sold Kyogo for the best part of 10 million, then you sell Nicholas Kuhl for the best part of 17 million. There's been other ones like kind of Frimpong money coming in for selling clauses. You've got the likes of Lagerbielke that moved on, Marco Tilio that's moved on, and it gets to that point that we are surpassed the transfer window and bringing in free agents, and that's nothing against Kelechi. We need to kind of wait and see at what level he's going to bring to Celtic, but there is no world that we should be selling Ida, Kyogo, and waiting until, well, everything's messed up, so we have to wait until free agents are available that we bring in somebody for nothing. So basically, in the last 6 months or so, we've brought in 17 million in central strikers and Kyogo and Adamida. We can't even do it in the last week of the transfer window and bring in a reasonable standard of striker. I hope Kelechi does exceptionally well. I think if Brendan can manage to get him back to where he was at his very peak, his very best, then I think we could have a player in our hands. That's the big gamble. But he's not been shown that recently, the last kind of couple of clubs that he's been at. So it needs for kind of Brendan to maybe bring him back to where he was. Is that possible? With time will tell. But we should never, as a club, be in a situation that we're bypassing the transfer window to dip into the free agent market. You look at basically every other club in Scotland, no matter the level of transfer fee, no matter the level of quality of the players they've brought in, the structure is still the same. They're bringing in players for positions that's needed. We seem to just need that book's been thrown out the window with us. We're just like, if we wanted Dolberg, we'll go with half of what they want and see what they say, and then at least we've tried. We could just say it didn't work out, and then we'll get into the free market. I think the chickens are coming home to roost in regards to the board and the hierarchy. The fans are starting to see kind of unacceptable dealings, kind of time after time after time, and I think it's just went past that line that it's went too far. I think that statement, I think that was the final straw. That was the icing on the cake, and I think that this movement's going to carry on. It's going to intensify. It's going to grow. until there's change implemented.
No, I think you're right, mate. I think change has to happen. I'm not saying that every board member or every single guy in the background, and obviously I think there's Sharon Brown as well, female. Not every single person has to lose jobs, but or get sacked or move or sell shares, but there has to be
Yeah,
changes. What's that, mate? I get it right, Sean. There's got to be certain people possibly removed or, right, I've done what I can, I'm off, because unless the CEO is not going to change in terms of the way he's doing his dealings and the way that he's doing with Chris Mackay, the financial officer, chief CEO, financial officer, that's not going to change. So you need to, there's certain people at the club that will need to change, because they're not going to change in terms of what they're doing, Daniel. So like Alan says, obviously what you think about the UEFA stuff, which is obviously nonsense, and it's lying to the fans, it's total lies. And obviously about the change at the club as well.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think with the UEFA, it's as if they've cooked up a reason, and obviously they've not lied about the caps. They've just lied about how close we are to it, which for me is just trying to insult fan intelligence, thinking that we won't go and look into it, and we won't go and have some knowledge on it. It's as if, this is behind the scenes stuff. They don't know that. Just hit them with that reason, and it'll be sound. Which for me is ridiculous. What is the point in having this money just sitting there? I mean, are the higher ups got a Scrooge McDuck pond? They just jump into it, mate. Or like that old thing. A guy goes to the bank machine just to look at how much he's got sitting in the bank. That's not what it's for. It's for investing in the squad, investing in the stadium, investing in things to do with the actual football club, rather than just running it as a business, because it is a football club. It was set up as a football club, so treat it like one instead of just a cash grab.
That's the way it does feel sometimes, especially when, like we mentioned last night, it's small things that you're not getting back. It's communication. The guys who are supporting you and funding the club, the fans, with the season books, merchandise, got the games, away games, the guys who are supporting you, communicate with them. How can Partick Thistle do it? Even them across the water have done it. And Govan, you've got Partick Thistle come out, Motherwell have come out, Ajax I think came out, Galatasaray for it. Why are we so special that we need to stay behind Alan curtains? No, listen, we understand why they're doing it, because they know that they've buzzed this up. But that's what they need to say. Look, right, we're through it all right. We have bought right. Look, we're really sorry. We didn't get deals done quick enough. Blah blah blah. See it even if it didn't mean anything to them, at least come out and tell us. It might appease some fans, but like you said, Alan, the majority of the fan base now who are no stupid. We're no like 10-year-old wee boys or 10-year-old girls, or we're no babies. We can read. We understand football. We understand financials. We understand what's going on at the football club. To put out things that I've just actually found this statement here as well, and you spoke about the contracts. Therefore, it says, therefore, all investment decisions must be and are guided by responsible forecasts of the future revenues and cash flow, which by nature are volatile, which can never be compromised by the financial integrity of the club. In short, throwing money at transfers and contracts is not a sustainable route to success, as many other clubs have found, to the detriment of their supporters. Which means you just go and spend £13 million and no strength in the squad, so you just don't do that. So you just don't spend money that you brought in. Mr. Lowell says about 11 years ago, everything we bring in gets invested, it gets put into his playing staff, and we make Celtic better. Michael Nicholson a few years ago, he shouldn't have said it, but world-class basics, world-class, that's elite Celtic. Well, your statement's not world-class. What you've shown us the last few years in terms of getting dealings done quick enough, it's no world-class. It's definitely got to change, Alan.
I think it's past the stage if they come out and kind of told the truth in that statement. I still think it's past that stage. I think there's been a number of years that it's just been discontent regarding the transfers. How many times have we heard Brendan especially come out and saying, oh, we need to change things behind the scenes? transfer dealings on the happening as quickly or precisely as we should be. The whole of football, the whole of kind of society is changing in regards to kind of everything's online, everything's social media orientated. The club need to change with that. They can't just come out, the Daily Record said this, such and such. They're the reason we didn't sign anybody. It's just not going to fly with anybody. It's just, it's so the whole statement was so condescending. Every part of it. So I don't think. I think they just need change. I think these. I don't want to be nasty or disrespectful, but these people just behind the scenes, they haven't got the best interests of Celtic at heart for me. I think they need to go. I don't think there's any ifs or buts about it. I think as a support, we've all came together. It's unified, and everybody's agreeing that these people need to go. It's about, like you say, Ryan. It's community. It's not just about we want you to. We're not naive. We don't want you to spend ludicrous amounts of money that's going to put us in kind of financial deficit. We're no naive. We know we need to spend within our means. We know we need to cut our cloth accordingly. But a wee bit of communication, right, and bringing in a certain degree of quality that merits the players that we've actually sold for profit. If we've sold Kuhn for 17 million, we're not expecting Celtic to go out and spend that same amount or more on a player to replace him. We know that it's going to be far less, but instead of kind of waiting to the last day of the window, seemingly the Tunisian boy was supposed to be offered out for 2.5 million, and we end up spending 5 million on him because it's the last day of the window. Maybe about 4 weeks earlier, we could have brought in somebody to replace, 4 or 6 weeks earlier, we could have brought in somebody to replace Kuhn. And we could have spent maybe between 5 or 10 million and got somebody. I've not seen the Tunisian boy yet, so I reserve judgment. I hope he's a really good player. But we maybe could have gone out and spent 5-10 million and got in somebody serious level of quality. So it's about everything. It's a communication. It's about the transfers with players going forward. It's about behind the scenes things as well that we've now seen. Benji Siegrist coming out. We're seeing kind of Maida coming out and saying that he couldn't get a move. We're seeing the likes of the Yang debacle going down to Birmingham and then coming back up the road. We're seeing it's not possible to sell Marco Tilio, a guy that's barely played kind of 20 minutes before that stage for Celtic and been loaned out the remainder of the time, but because of the lack of transfer dealings, it's not possible for us to sign somebody that's in the periphery of the squad. That is just absolutely crazy. Watching the swell jar there, that's just absolutely bonkers. We can't continue to operate that as a football club. And I'm saying as a football club, no as a business, we can't continue to operate that. And you can't scare fans off as well by saying, but if we spend some money, you might end up with somebody else. We're a million miles away from that as umpteen kind of reports have went. We're nowhere near. It's just foolish to even think that we could be anywhere near the kind of financial issues because we're in the best place financially we've ever been. We've got so much money in the bank. We're still operating year on year because the fans are putting money into the club. We're operating year on year at a substantial profit. So anybody that statement comes out and they're basically saying as if we're paupers, as if we've not got enough money to go out and spend on decent transfers at a relatively sensible time. It's just absolute nonsense. The board ought to go and have a look at themselves in the mirror. They put that out. It's embarrassing. Honestly, it's embarrassing. And I think they're starting to feel the repercussions of that. And as I say, well, as a podcast, well, we us personally, we are definitely behind this movement. And I'm just looking and hoping that it intensifies till we get change.
No, I agree with you, Alan. I don't think it's going to go away. the majority of the fan base are aligned with it. And that's going to keep going on. Yes, we're still focused on the football. We still want Celtic win. We still need to support the players, but there will be this ongoing situation behind the scenes until things do change or the fans get answers, and then we'll go back, look at the answers, continue until things get obviously sorted. Daniel, a wee question from Mark to obviously myself now and yourself. Afternoon, lads. What do you think the supporters' endgame should be? The new leadership, and what improvements do they want to see on the park? I think Mark's right there. There's got to be some sort of leadership or some sort of board movement to help. If they're not all removed or they're not all designing or whatever, there's got to be other people in there to help. I've seen a comment as well, Daniel, talking about, I've said it as well on here, that you need football men and with businessmen, because none of the guys are football men. Now, I know for a fact, I don't need to ask them, I don't need to know about their personal lives. Guys in that boardroom couldn't tell you what transitions are and how to play 4-4-2s and how to sign him, and he plays in this, he can do that. They've not got a clue about that. They're good, wealthy businessmen. They're good at that side of the job, 110%, in terms of making us sustainably well, financially secure, etc. But let the recruitment team, let the other guys, let a sporting director, if that ever was an option, work with the manager and the recruitment team, whoever's behind the scenes, to get the players in. I think JP mentioned it last night as well. Good point he mentioned. Why don't you just get it? I just say it's 40 million, right? Brendan gets, or whoever the manager's going to be next year, if it's Brendan or no, right? Whatever. 40 million, Brendan. Spend it how you want. Let us know the players you want. We'll try and get their deals in as soon as possible. Any player will give you, just say 50 a week in wages. That's a cap. 50 a week. That's all you can get, Brendan. There's 40 million. We can maybe stretch it to 45 if need be, maybe a certain player. There you go. Commit with your recruitment team or the sporting director, and we'll work out the deals. Surely, Daniel, that can't be hard, mate. But what's your thoughts on Mark's comment there?
I think the end goal for the supporters here is one, just answers for the failings that have went on at the club, as well as the people responsible for the failings. One, being held accountable, and two, being replaced by people who are more forward thinking and looking to actually improve and jump on the ambition of the footballing minds at the club. That means like the manager, the players, just matching everybody up on the same playbook, because we've seen time and time again that business people can't be the only ones running football clubs, because they don't run the football clubs, they run a business. And that is what Celtic has now turned into. It's a business being run rather than a football club, because the guys who are in charge and in these positions seem so out of depth and out of touch with the fan base and the people involved in football. I mean, Brendan jumps between there's no divide, we need better. There's no divide, we need better. So that shows that there's a gap between the football minds at the club and the business minds at the club. So I think the end goal for supporters is just improvement and change, whether that be through new faces or new systems. But for me, you can't have new systems if it's the same faces. So in my opinion, it needs to be fresher faces in these positions and an influx of football and minds into the club. So, but I think for on the pitch, it's just about improvement of the squad, because whatever way you cut it, the squad is weaker than what it has been, and for the financial position that we're in, it just doesn't match up. It's no good enough. It shouldn't be. We shouldn't be a weaker off squad considering how financially strong we are.
100%, Daniel. Like you've said there, and Toby's basically just said it as well there. There's basically 41 million that's readily available to check income, players, sales, etc. Now, that's probably not even within any money they make this year on top of for next year if be selling next year. So there's money there, as Toby said there. There's Simon Jordan's come out as well. There's other people. There's genuine money there to spend, Darren. And so we're not asking for the club to go and spend 30 million in one player, even two players. We are just wanting Celtic to invest the best they can within the appropriate budget that they're allowed to spend, which is obviously well more than they have spent, because they're spending about £13 million. People will then say Kieran Tierney's got a good wage, agent fees, other players' wages, but that comes all in with what you've got as well. But you can still go and spend more than we've spent. I understand, Alan, Daniel, we've all spoken about it, that the club should have won the tie even without signings. We understand that. There was enough quality in that team with the manager and the players already here before obviously Edith etc. left. Already enough there to win that tie. But the full thing is, Alan, that one reason why it's particularly annoyed the Celtic fans is, yes, we understand Brendan. We'll touch on obviously after this. He's got to pick up the pieces. What's left, he's got to deal with what he's got and kind of move forward from that. But if he was given Barrett Wishart or Taneki, listen, these guys might be brilliant, they might not be, but if he was given the option of they two and Sirachi before the Karak game, it gives you three players, three better options than maybe some of the guys that he maybe no want to play, maybe like Yang or Forrest, who's still okay off the bench, but we know he's no the Forrest of old. And if he knew Maeda wasn't up to scratch just yet, you could have played Ida and maybe the two wingers to give him service. That's the biggest thing for me, Alan, is we all know that the board look for value for money and this and that, but the fact that they had, and working with the recruitment team, they've had months to know about these qualifiers. Months. Sold Kyogo, sold Kuhn, no replaced him, sold Ida. Basically, maybe undermine the manager because he says he's not going until he goes. Yang, there's loads of things that have made this window just build up. We've all had enough. But the big thing for me is, Alan, we weren't prepared for the qualifiers. I think out of the last 7 qualifiers, I think we've lost out of 12 or whatever. We've not been we've not been prepared. We've been nowhere near good enough. We've had Dave Murray at the back. We've been near beat on. We've never been prepared. Why? And the common denominator is, Aaron, the people at the club are not doing things quick enough. They're wanting to, the best deal possible, leaving it. It then leaves you short. It leaves you weaker. You're not in the Champions League. And now it's, right, so what do we do now? We'll win the league and then we'll do it again next year. And then we'll settle a player and do the same next year. It's the same, I said it last night, it's the same common denominator, and that has to change.
No, as I say, it's not just a knee-jerk reaction. It's been going on for the last number of years in regards to waiting last minute for transfers, selling players and then not being able to replace them. We could look right away. Last summer we wanted a winger brought in, that wasn't possible. We tried on the last day, managed to bring Jota in January. We sold Kyogo in January. Brendan stated publicly that he needed a striker to replace him. That didn't happen. Then we went through basically the whole of this transfer window, and have we replaced Kyogo? Still no, I don't think, because I don't think Brendan fancies Yamada, but I look at it when he's not even in the European squad. I don't think the likes of Kenny's maybe ready to step up.
Good point there, Alan, for Toby. As if the shoe was another foot, they will be stopping. They'll be spending money to keep ahead. Don't give them the opportunity to go and do it while we're ahead and financially can afford it. And you've got infrastructure. Stay ahead.
The people behind that's the issue. The people behind the scenes on the scene in that manner, the same way the fans are. But we're not asking for the world. But I'm not naive enough. I know there's people out there that say, "Oh, Celtic fans want you to spend all that money in the bank." That's simply not the case. The case is that we know that there's more potential there than we're actually seeing just now. We know that we are capable of replacing somebody like Kyogo. We're capable of replacing somebody like Nicholas Kuhn. We're capable of replacing somebody like Adam Ida. That's not in the free agent market, nothing against Kelechi, but that's just not the way to operate as a football club. So look, we're looking. We say year on year that we want to get into the next season stronger. We're looking at that squad just now, and I'm saying at present that we're far weaker than we were last year. I think that's shown with the I think that's the 7th time we've been knocked out in 9 years, and not 9 attempts in the Champions League qualifiers. So that's shown. By all means, that the team that we had out and the manager, they take blame because we should have had enough quality there to kind of deal with the likes of Kazakhstan side, Kairat Almaty. That shouldn't have been an issue. We should have had enough quality there to negotiate that tie, but we should have went into that tie with more options, with more quality. We should have been better kind of set up, and with the transfers taken to the very last minute and not been having preparation in place, you're kind of. It's a statement you used before, Ryan. We've all used it. If you kind of fail to prepare to fail, and that's what's materialised now. So there has to be change. I seen a question earlier from Mark. I think we're looking for to replace quality with quality. We're looking for a bit of communication from the hierarchy. We're looking for a bit of modernisation. We want Celtic should be as one of the most supported clubs in the world. We're obviously a massive club and a tiny fishbowl in Scotland, but we should be run better than as a football club than the way we're seeing just now, because it was like a laughing stock during the summer. We were seeing transfer story after transfer story that we were lowballing for certain teams, certain players for teams. Then we couldn't sell Tilly or Yang because we needed replacements. We couldn't sell Welsh or loan him out because of that. Brendan coming out and saying that Inamura and Yamada basically they might be going out on loan. You'd have to have a look at them, etc. Just everything about that this whole summer is just day after day. It's been a bit of a laughing stock with regards to Celtic. That's all kind of finalised by getting knocked out of the Champions League, and then the icing on the cake with this kind of ludicrous statement that makes zero sense whatsoever by people that should never ever be in the position that they're in just now.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously, Daniel, like Alan says there, obviously it kind of goes in with Mark's question as well. Good question as well, Mark. We want a long-term footballing plan. But what is the plan right now? Is it just buy 1-2 million players all the time, try and sell them, develop them? Is that you can't do that every single year, because like we mentioned last night and we've mentioned before, not every Matt O'Reilly is going to come along and sell you for 15 upwards, 20, 25 million. You're not always going to get Nicholas Kuhns for 2-3 million and sell him for 20 odd million. Good point for Toby as well. I'm agreeing with him. I think we've all spoke with it. My dad's even spoke to me, people that I've ever spoke to in pubs, etc. We are at if we're in the European stages of the format in the Champions League every season, and the club is well ran, you're selling a Nicholas Kuhn or a Kyogo every season, we should be aiming to buy a 10, a 12 million, as Toby says, John Hart says it. We can't do that. If it means you need to give him 50 a week to slightly break the wage cap, to give that player the money to come here, score you goals, if it's a striker, or if it's a defender, to be a standout, like a Van Dijk, 2 years, done 2 years down the drain, and he's maybe 45 million, 40 million, 35. If you're successful on the park, that just breeds transfers, because see if we're in the Champions League, and the players are doing okay, just say Bartley Sharon, Daniel, does all right, maybe scores 3 goals in Europa League, does okay performances, gets a few assists. But if he was doing that in the Champions League against better opposition, like Nicholas Kuhn did against Bayern Munich and Leipzig, we all seen the Leipzig game, that's probably got his move to Como and people interested in him. It's just strengthen the squad. But I'll put this question to you, Alan. Sorry, Daniel. Ian Thompson says, not siding with the board, but if Brendan Rodgers had made it known that he's not staying, extend his contract, should we be giving him big money? For me, to put that to you, Daniel, I get what Ian's saying. that's been a wee thing with some fans. I totally understand that. But for me, it doesn't matter who the manager is. If it's Brendan Rodgers, me, you, Alan, Damien Duff, Chris Knutson, it doesn't matter who it is. This club still has to be better every season. You still need to move every time. You still need to pay money. You still need to improve the squad, because every year you've got qualifiers now, or you've got Champions League games. You've always got something to prepare for. So the new we're preparing for the Europa League, January, the summer, and forward and forward. So it doesn't matter who the manager is. We still need to spend money, because, like I said last night, and I've always said for the summer, Daniel, that Trusty, Ida, and Engels are not failures. The £26 million that you paid for them, roughly, give or take, that was brought back in through qualifying for Europe and doing well, winning leagues and merchandise. Everything's all good. The money you spent has been brought back in. So it's not a Yeti and Barcast where we've spent £10 million on A2 and won nothing. That's £10 million down the drain. But that was the £26 million. That was £26 million that helps you win a double. They contributed and they made you more money. So why not continue to do it, Daniel?
Exactly, mate. And it's a great question, but for me, regardless of the manager's situation,
Cheers, Mark. Enjoy, mate.
Money should still be getting sent to improve the squad, because the only way you can keep, if Brendan, for me, I don't think he's made it too obvious that he's no leaving. I think when media have asked him, he said, listen, that's up to the club. So if he's turned round and has said to them, listen, I'm no up for it, that's a result of their actions and no investing in the squad, because we seen it when he came back. They said, oh, we're getting him this treasure chest for Europe. We're going for Europe. We go and do that, and then this season we don't even make it to the Champions League. So if he's not going to stay, you still need to invest quality in the squad to get yourself in a good position for whoever is coming in the door next. So for me, regardless of whether he's staying or not, then the money still needs to be spent, in my opinion.
Good comment here. Put to yourself, Alan, and then we'll talk about Brendan for the last 10 minutes of the show. Quite a long one, so I'll speed it out. Toby says, Ryan, you're right. We can't be doing project players year on year. Let's develop them from within and give them an opportunity. Ideally, Toby, yeah, that would be good, mate. The team has lost all of the academies who have been here, made a transfer. KT, AR. Don't know who the AR is. I've had Alston, sorry. Cal McGregor and James Forrest. It seems to be every player coming through either leaves due to breaking into the team or makes a few appearances and leaves at the end of a contract. Agents working on them out the door. Agree on that, mate. I remind Jim McLean of Dun United had players on 7-year deals as soon as they showed promise, as that was the only way to go. Your thoughts on that, Alan?
So, I know you can say give people kind of long-term contracts, but you need to have the proper people behind the scenes make the judgment on that as well. The last thing you want is a player on a kind of long-term deal that's not going to contribute to the team either, that's not going to have that potential to kind of break into the first team. So it's a difficult one with that. I think putting out long-term contracts as well, it can be a gamble. It can work out for the good if they kind of absolutely do brilliantly, and then we could have them for the long haul, or we can get a kind of significant transfer fee for them. So it's a difficult one to judge for that. I don't think personally when you name the names that have come through the kind of Celtic ranks, when you're naming the likes of kind of Kieran Tierney, Callum McGregor, James Forrest, I've touched on many podcasts before. I'll be really seeing many of these players coming through without signing for other teams. There's obviously an issue behind the scenes with that as well. I think you look at they've maybe no. We're not to do brilliantly well, but you're looking at Will Kelly, you're looking at Ben Doak, you're looking at Rocco Vata as well that we've mentioned before, and these guys have left for basically I think it's 400 grand or something, 500 grand you get for the development fee. So there is something behind the scenes that's no going on right. Who was the striker that left this summer? Went to
Daniel Cummins.
Daniel Cummins.
Daniel Cummins as well. So we can't be developing these players and then right away when they show a bit of promise at kind of 17, 18, whatever age it may be, that kind of Premier League come calling. We should be trying to get these particular players maybe on a longer term deal, but then I don't think there's a pathway to the first team for them as well. I know we're shown last year with maybe that boy McCardle's had some minutes, but is that really enough? Is that are we showing a pathway saying, right, stay here? I know maybe you'll not be getting as much money as offered down south. Might not be getting the prestige the way they're playing in the Premier League too, etc. But if you stay here, we can see this happening for you. You get down this route, you'll get some first team appearances, whether that being in cups or whether we're up kind of 3-0 with 20 minutes to go, etc. And the manager says, I can assure you that we're going to give you this type of opportunity. It looks as if that part of the club is kind of lacking at present, because we have seen quite a number of talents maybe dissipate and just quietly leave at the door. And the amount of money that we are investing in youth, Lennoxtown and new kind of the other complex, I think it's just at the end. Barrowfield, in it. So we are investing quite a lot. So you would like to see some sort of return. And if it gets to that return stage that the players are just leaving because there's no clear route for them to progress into the first team, then there has to be change on behalf of that as well, I'd say.
Yeah, I've seen Rab a few comments just put up, but Rab says, why are you moaning on here when season on season the fans are brought goods from the club? The board have become a monsters because the fans allow it. It's like a naughty child being treated badly. That's just why Rab are moaning now, because we've had enough of it, mate. We've not been prepared for qualifiers. The fans are supporting the team home and away, buying the merchandise, supporting the team, doing everything they can, buying the pies that are burnt, buying everything to help the clubs. The foundation charity games are doing everything they can to help the team. But what are the board doing to help the club? That was, let's be fair, that was a free pass to go and get potentially up to £40 million plus other things, European packages, etc., etc. Exactly, Rab. It's been on for years, and that's why it's got to stop, mate. It's got to stop, because we're not going to progress as a Celtic Football Club if we keep lowballing teams, we don't prepare for qualifiers, and again, COVID, with the gay fans, we'll give you a voucher. You can't come and watch your team, but we'll take in loads of money and we'll give you a voucher. They can't even give you £5 for kids after strips. Can't give you a free boat of water. Anything to help the fans get into the stadium. Like me and JP Daniel spoke last night, was a great point that I thought JP brought up, and then me and Daniel put in as well. The Legends game wasn't advertised a lot. 20 odd quid a ticket it was. But see, you put that maybe a tenner a ticket for an adult, he can bring his son or daughter, and just say you get a free programme with a free scarf. It entices people to get into the stadium. What incentive, Daniel, put this to you, and we've been on here, but just obviously viewers put in questions. What incentive is there now, right now? I'm a book hodder. Some people on there, right? I love football. I go to support Celtic. I don't go and support the board. I go to support the players. But now I'm having to think about things what I'm doing here, because I'm not happy with what's going on. So can I go and give him 150 quid when I'm not getting what I feel I should be getting as a fan, right? But it's just give and take. And for me, Daniel, things need to change because it's going on too long. And I don't know if Toby says there, spot on a tenner, it doubles the crowd. It's the same as the package for Europa League. If we make it the smallest a number, as much as we're all up in arms about it now, Daniel, if you put it on a small bracket, you're probably going to get maybe 50,000. But if you put it up to the highest bracket, as you normally try and do, you're not going to get the punters in. What incentive is there, Daniel, to be a book holder, right? If there's general sale, take away your book holder, right? What incentive? Obviously, you get to see a team. privilege, brilliant. You get to see these players, amazing. You get to go to Celtic Park every Saturday or every second Saturday or during the week. Fantastic, Daniel, right? But see if I'm not about Claude and I go, right, commitments, what commitments, etc. I can't afford it anywhere. I'll pick and choose my games, right? But see, I can go to every home game for general sale. The only game I maybe can't go to is a Rangers game, right? But I can get packages. They might be a bit dearer, but what incentive is there now to go, I'm going to pay my 700, 800 quid. What do you get back? I know but people might say trophies, but that's not a given, Daniel. You don't win trophies every year. That's not what we do now, but that's not a given. But what other incentive? You don't get a free qualifier. You don't get a free friendly. You have to pay for your seat for James Morris's testimonial. Things like that, Daniel. It's absolutely bonkers.
Exactly, mate. And we've seen it. I don't know, when I was a lot younger. I think they done a promotion with the season tickets that I think it was an under 16 ticket for the season. Was if you had one, it was only about 50 quid or something like that. It might have been under 12s. I'm not too sure. It was a while ago though. We don't see anything like that nowadays.
I was still 12 until I was about 26. Sorry, broke into me lights.
Aye, so the only real incentive to renew books right now is to be able to watch the team on a regular basis. The fans only getting anything back that way. I mean, I don't even think the club thanked the amount of fans that travelled to Cairo to watch the team and spent that amount of money to go there. I don't even think there was a thank you from the club. Now, usually in Europe, you see, regardless of a result, thank you to the fans for making that effort and travelling. But it's just been a bit of we never done it. Oh well. So, it's a sad state of affairs right now. The disconnect between the fans and the board is only growing, and that's why we have this movement of fans saying enough's enough.
That is, mate. Obviously, Alan, last bit of the pod, mate. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers is now left to pick up the pieces. Will Iheanacho, will Berisha, will Taneki, will they give us a spark? Will they help the team move forward? Obviously, we'd have liked them in beforehand now, but can these guys now maybe help McGregor, who's maybe not played well recently, help Maeda share the goals, help other players like your Arnie Engels, etc., needing to actually let them play the balls to them? What's your thoughts on that, mate?
Will they improve us? How long's a piece of string? I've no idea. We don't know. Hopefully the numbers improve us. But Alicia in the Rangers game, what we were saying as well, looked a bit nervous. It looked as if he could maybe take on a few players, but was a bit hesitant in doing so. But Taneki, I hope he's a massive success, but his numbers and his statistics aren't exactly screaming that. They look pretty woeful, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. Kelechi as well. As I said earlier, if Brendan can get him back to anywhere near his best, then we will have a player in our hands. But there's somebody that's not too happy in the comments for some reason.
I don't know.
He's having a bit of a meltdown here. Right,
half an anxiety, well, mate.
Absolutely. Let's hope Kelechi can be back to his best, but only time will tell with the 3 players that you've mentioned. We, as fans, because of their experience and the teams they've played for, we've not got a great deal of knowledge about them. So I'm looking forward to this weekend to see how they play. I'd love to see kind of Kelechi, consider the circumstances. I would love to see him hit the ground running. But only time will tell. Let's hope that the 3 of them turn out to be really good players. But I think the overall message for the entire fan base now is back the team, but sack the board.
Cheers, Gary and Cheryl Simpson. Thank you. A lot of people, obviously, Daniel, are obviously really kind of feeling for Rodgers in a way as well, because now he's left for the squad he's got. Obviously, listen, he's a world-class manager, in my opinion. He's now obviously had to... I think I still say this, Daniel. I know he said last year was his biggest success here at Celtic, won that league, but I think with the summer window, no getting maybe the players he wanted, I think now if we then go and win the league, which I still think we will, I think it'll be a monumental hang in his career, because he's been under pressure in the summer, not qualifying for the Champions League, and now then having to go and win the league with maybe some players that he didn't want the club, or not the ideal team that he wanted. But do you feel for him in this situation, Daniel? And do you see any of the players like Iheanacho, Balisha, Taneka, or even Sirachi? Do you see any of them giving us a sparkling Sunday and moving forward?
I certainly hope that the players that are new in the door do well. Wouldn't wish anything other but success for the team. But for Brendan, I feel it comes down to now. You've no got maybe everybody that you've wanted, but you're still employed. You've still got a job today, so it becomes a bit of a professionalism now, and now you can go and showcase to the people who haven't really backed him, in my opinion, right, well, this is what I can do regardless, because we know what he can do. So if he is going to leave at the end of his contract, leave in the best possible way, bring as much success to the club as possible, and let's just get the heads down now, like Alan says, back the team to the ends of the earth. But we know as a fan base that we want change in the boardroom, so I will back the team, the manager, and the players. But upstairs, they'll know that it's no, their time's up.
Aye, they'll probably see a RAF on Sunday. There'll probably be a tifo, there'll be banners, or there'll be songs. So, listen, back the team, but definitely this isn't going to go away. Listen, we would love to... Obviously tomorrow, Alan's on with Mark and JP. They'll touch on the game, probably anything else that pops up for the rest of the day, and maybe tomorrow morning. But this will be having to get spoken about, not every minute, every day, but this will be get spoken about. It won't go away. It's one of the biggest movements that's obviously been involved since majorities have all been Celtic fans. I know it was 90s, but in recent times and modernised times. So, but like you've said, lads, things will need to change. You say something else? You're right. No. Aye, obviously things will need to change, whether that's board members going away, if it's recruitment processes, recruitment guys, loads of things behind the scenes need to change, because if they don't, we're going to have the same situation next year, because what do they call it? Lepers don't change their spots. So some of these guys who have been doing the same thing for years, they're not going to change. Like Desmond and Lowell and Chris Mackay, Nicholson's our CEO, who has been quiet for how many days now? Hundreds of days have been quiet, no heard from him. So why can Partick Thistle and even Name Across the Water, how can all these teams come out and explain their plans? We try to go for this player, it didn't happen, this is the budget. But why are we so special when it stay silent? But Alan, JP, and Mark can obviously continue the conversation tomorrow. I think it will be 8 o'clock tomorrow night. I think we will update the socials as usual. Again, there's been some comments obviously I couldn't get to. I've seen a few questions asked. I'll be going to this meeting tonight. Yes, I will be in representation tonight for the podcast. So if anything does come from it, you will obviously see it social media. That's when it's been updated. So thanks, Josh. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Toby's just said 1 wee minute. I'll be at this before we end the show. Big one love for Toby. Toby loves a long paragraph. I'm very fortunate I've been able to hold down my season book since Hampden. I was on the home ticket scheme since inception, ran a bus, so I'm fully aware of the ticking situation and how hard it is to get to games. And boycotting games for me is right and wrong. But I won't be coming off a home ticket scheme. We certainly need change. Fans take it out on this, and we'll win again. The papers will say the Rebels have won. Totally agree with you, Toby. It's up to people's choice. Whether or not you can have a ticket scheme or not does not mean that you don't want change. Some people just love going to football. They don't care about the board. They just love going to see Celtic, which is absolutely fine. So it's all about still trying to make changes. You can still buy tickets and still buy merchandise if you want change. It's up to you. I mean, if, like I've always said on this, lads, I've not got any kids, but if you've got a son, daughter who might want a strip, you're not going to say no, are you? I want a strip, but No, but what I can't because Peter Lawwell and Des were still no. They start for you. It's very hard when you've got kids. But JP says 8 o'clock tomorrow night. I think we're on. So obviously we'll update the socials as we go. But again, lads, thanks for your time, Daniel, Alan, and the viewers. Thanks for your time. It's been good to chat on this Wednesday afternoon. We will be back tomorrow, and we'll continue the game chat obviously into Sunday. But until then, lads, thank you. Hail, and take care.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly. How about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson. And Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura!